So today we are working on a 2003 Nissan 350Z. It's actually my brother's. We are getting ready to do some coilovers. We've already done the other half earlier this winter, but we just didn't get to the rest as it got colder. So we're going to finish these up today, hopefully. On top of that, we've got some front brakes to do, potentially. Top of doing battery relocate maybe, but definitely putting in a battery cutoff switch. So I think this is actually the most prepared we've ever been, if we're being honest. We went, I think, 3 times around the store at O'Reilly today looking for parts that we may need or things that we might have or whatever to get the job done. So there's a couple other things that we might look into. Oh, that's nice. There's a couple other things we might look into, like we got some weather stripping here. This car had been pushed in the rear end a little bit, so you can see some of the damage there was pushed in. Body lines aren't what I would consider great, but we're going to try and do some weather stripping around the edge here. If we can do some of this here, because right now when he drives it, the exhaust goes right into the cabin. It gives him a pretty big headache, so we're going to try and at least prevent some of that for now until we do a new exhaust and run some pipes that are further out from underneath the car. Otherwise, oh, look at that. It's a nice spot for that. There you go. Otherwise, we've got just a couple pieces here to work with. And then our hatch, I guess you could call it our new hatch holder, is what should be the replacement for all of this. Yeah, it works. So we will get to working on this, and we'll hit you with some updates as we run into some for sure fucking problems, because we're going to run into some problems. This is the fuckery that has to happen to get these out. Hold on a second. I got old Hot Rod Racer leaving. Alright, so we've got the fuckery that comes out with these. So this car sat for quite a while prior to purchase, so it's not the worst, but there's a lot of rust and dry rotting and things like that. So that's basically what happened here to the bushing on the shock. So basically we used the half-inch drive impact, which has got a ton of power, and just twisted the boot right off. So basically what we did is we just took this piece here, bent it out of the way, and then used as many pry bars that we needed to just pry that out of the knuckle here. Let's see if I can get some light. So this is what we had to pry it out of. Now the process is getting the actual bushing out of the knuckle. So we've got this contraption that we actually found on a YouTube channel. This is what we're using. We're going to have a couple sockets on here to basically use it as like a ball joint press the bushing out, and then we'll have to press the new one in. Once the new one's in, we'll be able to put the new coilover shock in, which is laying over here in the pile. And then we should be able to do rear spring, and the rears would be done. Just set ride height adjustment and go from there. This is actually honestly the hardest part of the entire process, is getting that bushing out. So nice thing is we've done this once before, so we'll be able to get that done. And once that's done, we'll move on to the fronts. So once I get my rig set up here for taking the bushing out in there, we will give you guys a quick little laugh to see how this is done. So, and we're back. So last thing we talked about was setting up a rig to pull the bushing out of this, and here we are. So this socket here is going to push the bushing through the knuckle into the cup, and that's just hope so we have enough threads to get her pulled all the way through. This worked on the other side when we did this last time, so I don't foresee why this wouldn't work again, but we'll let you know how it goes here, hopefully in the next like few minutes. Should be having it out, then we can start pressing the new one in. And just like that, we have a shock bushing. That was in this hole. It is no longer in that hole. So this is kind of nice. If you ever have to do this on a 350Z,
or 370,
27 millimeter socket. Just happens to fit like a glove. Or if you want to get bored and do solid bushings, that'll work too. So it's kind of nice. Slides right through, pushes the bushing out. It is literally the exact same size as the bushing, if not just a touch smaller. So pushed it through. Now we just have to reinstall the new one, put the shock in, drop the spring seat, put a new spring in, and we hopefully can get her all done and move on to the fronts. So that actually took like, I don't know, what do you say? Took
2 minutes.
2 minutes? Yeah. Didn't take very long at all. So we just had to add another socket in to give us some more spacing so that we had a deeper cup, but worked out well. So joys of knowing how to do this and having other YouTubers who have videos on how to do that specifically. So let's move on to the next bit, get the new bushing put in, get the strut back in. So I'm hoping the next clip I pull here will be hopefully of the new shock in, if not new shock and spring. So we'll get back to you guys here in a minute. All right. So after some frustration with the socket, we ended up getting new bushing in. So new bushing is, wow, that was really crappy. There we go. So new bushing is in. And so now, like I said, we just got to drop lower control arm here, take out that bolt, lower control arm will drop, pull the spring out, and then new spring gets loaded in. So we're going to work on that part here now, and then once that's done, it'll be just a matter of putting shock in, putting wheel back on, setting ride height, and we should be good. But yeah, that was really not bad. Just make it, I mean, we ended up starting to mushroom out the edges of it here, and over here, if it'll focus again. Here we go. So right over here, we started to push them out. I had to go to a little bit smaller socket and pushed right in. So that's done. So we got that done, and we're going to put in the shock and spring now. So this man's getting pretty happy. So finally, we're trying to get this thing drivable for him so he can drive it daily. So cool. We'll see you guys in the next clip. Okay, so after what? Hour, maybe 2. Well, we got the front strut out. And let me just tell you, that was a bitch and a half. But it's out. So at this point, we're kind of taking a break because that was horrendous. Got stuck on that last part for 45 minutes, but we got it done. Got it out. So right now we're just kind of, like I said, taking a break. We've got other strut that we got to set up for ride height, and then that one should go in super easy. I don't know if any of you have ever done coilovers on your own. Coilovers always go in twice as easy because they're shorter, so you've got less space to fight. The other part of that is that your spring rate isn't so like right here, we're taking the barrel off now for the lower end. So this is a fully adjustable shock. You've got the barrel where you can take off what he's doing now, and then you also have your spring rate you can set based on the collars up top. So like I said, and right now we're trying to get this done, and it'll make it substantially easier to put back together. We got everything here. Everything came off pretty nice. Some stuff was rusted, but we set it in penetrating lube before we started, even on the rears. So that made everything come apart really nice. We had to break off a tab for the brake hose, but that's no big deal. We'll just zip tie it on. Pretty sure I actually did that on the other side as well, if I remember correctly, because the bolt that holds it to the strut, like I said, being an 03, it's just so rusted that I couldn't get it off. So we're going to make some adjustments here. We're going to get the ride height set, get it put back in, And hopefully the next clip I got will be it installed, showing how we have it adjusted. Maybe I'll even do a quick explanation on how we adjust this and how I'm setting these ones up for this car specifically. The other plans is that I've got my car there that we're going to put on corner scales this year to set the suspension correctly for autocross. We're also going to probably see if we can't get this one here on a corner scale to get it to even out nicely, so that way when he does decide to drift this, the suspension's not all out of whack. So let's take a break here for a second, and we'll get back to you on setting up the pre-travel on the spring, or the preload, I guess it would be called, and then we'll get the barrel set, and then we will install it, and we'll show you guys the strut when it's finally installed. Alright, so this is the strut that he's got, like I said, fully adjustable. Here's the barrel. The barrel is off, and then we have the spring loosely on here. So now we're going to set this up. Like I said, until we get it on a corner scale, I won't have this fully set. What I plan to do is just put tension on the spring just to give it a little bit of preload, and it's not going to be much. Now we're going 30 turns on the bottom barrel just to get it to sit a little well. The plans afterwards are to at least get the front a little bit lower. The rears, the way we have it set up right now, are a little further down. We wanted to make sure that we had steering clearance. So anyways, as we move on here, so I've got, basically what I'm doing is I'm holding the strut upside down so the spring sits where it's going to. And I'm just turning this. We're going to get this centered up so it's centered in the spring seat. And I'm going to go until I've got, with one finger, I've got enough tension I can't turn it. So right there, I'm going to go about another half turn. And just bring your lock collar down to it, so that way the lock collar kind of holds it in place. And then obviously you'll take spanner wrenches, and spanner wrenches, you'll just turn both of these in opposite directions, so that way they actually lock themselves together, which is basically just like a jam nut on a tie rod. So, and then same thing here. We've got that turned down, and then we're going to basically start this. So the way I like to start these, when I count my threads on these, what I like to do is I like to make a thread enough to where I can hold it without doing it. That to me is start. So we'll go there, and we'll go 30. That right there was 30 turns. I actually had a mark here on the barrel itself where I could actually count each time it went around. So then you just take your lock collar, bring it up to your barrel, and just kind of, like I said, lightly lock them in place so that way you've got a good starting point. Once you've got them kind of locked in place, now you at least know that your ride height that you want to set at right now is set. And then we will go ahead and install this. If we want to make any adjustments later on, it's going to be super easy, especially for these ones here. These you can adjust while it's in the car as long as you got room with the spanner wrenches. For the lower barrel, you just take your nut back out, or take your bolt back out that holds into the control arm, and then again, being a coilover, there's enough room. You just twist the barrel back up a little further, and it brings your ride height down. Especially on these that are fully adjustable, this bottom half is your ride height. This here is your spring preload. So a lot of people will use this here and compress your spring a ton, and that's where you get really crappy ride, where your springs are super tight. It rides like a hay wagon. When you have a fully adjustable like these, you can adjust your bottom half, which is your ride height. And again, this is just your preload. You want to try and leave yourself enough preload here so that you don't bottom these springs out. You hit a bump, bottom a spring out, that goes all through your suspension, takes into your wheels, and that's how you bend wheels. Little belts on tires. So like I said, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown on these in case none of you have actually done this. This is just a cool thing I like to do. I enjoy doing coilovers, and I do love doing suspension. So this is just something I wanted to make sure you guys know. So we're going to get this put in, and we're going to move on. Like I said, we should be able to show you the coilover installed next time we're back. So, time slipped away from us. We didn't get the video or the clip of the coilover getting installed or after it was already installed. We were having some struggles that we had to move jacks around and jack stands so that way we could get it up and basically to get the sway bar to drop so that way the control arms would drop so we could get the new strut in. So we got that figured out after about 5 minutes of staring at it. Got that put in and we got it on. So like I said, this is fitment currently. We have a few things that need to be gone over. This is just a rough fitment. And then our rear, again, not bad. This is nowhere near max low on these. These things can go substantially lower, but you know, it's still supposed to be somewhat, I wouldn't even call it a daily, but like a half-ass daily. So it's getting built to be a drift car, but yeah, like I said, we will still want to make it so he can take it out on the street, go to meets with it, and just show it off. So not bad, but other things that we wanted to do to it. So tonight we're also going to be doing some weather stripping to fix some of that damage, try and keep the carbon dioxide out of the cabin for him. That way he can drive it comfortably without getting a headache after 10 minutes. So the other part of that is, not sure if we're going to get to it tonight. We're going to try and do a battery cutoff switch. We got to draw somewhere in this. Again, one of those things where it's not super concerning, being that it's going to be a drift car. But, again, if he wants to drive it on the street, don't want to have to carry a jump pack with you all the time. So, we've got a couple of things we got to get taken care of. But a couple of the things that he was thinking about doing was, we got to do an angle kit, you said? So, hopefully sometime in the next, I don't know, you're thinking, probably within the next year.
Yeah, because we'll probably do the LS first.
Okay.
Or at least do the whole front suspension, all the motors out.
Yeah, I say do that. I would definitely say, I mean, you already said it needs ball joints anyways. So, if we could do your ball joints and do all your other suspension components down there, we can do the angle kit then.
Then we'll have to get different lowers and uppers.
Yeah, so it makes sense just to do it then. We also got some brakes to do. We're going to do all new brakes in the rear. And then, at some point, we have to find a secondary caliper kit, really, for a hydro handbrake. So, a lot of things to be coming up on this car. It's going to be kind of a hit or miss thing. Obviously, money is a big factor. But yeah, this is going to be something that we are going to be working on frequently along with my car, and some other things. So, you know, like I said, we got the coilovers on. We're going to work on a couple other things. Not sure we're going to record much more of that. I might record some more of the potential battery cutoff switch for anybody who's looking to do that. Like I said, the weather stripping is more of a let's get it put on so you can drive the car deal. So we're going to work on that right now. And yeah, we'll probably get some video of it tomorrow when it's out in the sunlight and get video of it, lowered and maybe give her a wash. It's been some time and she's been in storage for quite some time. So it's pretty dirty. It's not the prettiest car. You know, like that's just dirt. I mean, I just wiped all this off here.
I've owned it 2 years, never been washed, and it sat for a year before I bought it, and it was never washed.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess so everybody knows, how did you acquire this car?
Homie hookup.
Homie hookup? For sure.
It was a roller, way overpaid, bought it for the color, one of 2000.
Okay.
Blown motor, junk trans, put a new motor in it, put a new trans in it, header back exhaust.
Okay. Yeah, so because that's something else we're going to look about doing this year as well, is potentially, if we keep the VQ in it, is going long tubes. So it's not solidified that we're doing an LS swap, but, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where it's really not going to, I mean, the cost effectiveness between doing the two is going to be roughly the same. I mean, by the time you do long tubes, and if, you know, some of the other things you want to do to it.
Going LS is going to cost more,
But it's going to be more reliable.
More reliable and easier.
Parts are cheaper.
And cheaper to build. I mean, I could make a 500 horse LS for
$3,000.
Theoretically $2 to $3,000, but it would take me close to $5,000 to make a 500 horse VQ.
Yep. So, and that's a big thing that we're running into is we still want to. He still really likes the car, so we still want to do something with it. So, if we can go LS, great. But the startup, basically, it's no different than doing any kind of build. The startup cost of a build is the expensive part. Once that's been taken care of, a lot of it's going to be really maintenance thing. So like he said, maintaining an LS is going to be a ton cheaper. It's going to, at the end of the day, work out more. It's going to be more reliable. Parts are a lot more accessible. I mean, hell, we ran into issues just finding coolant hoses and things like that, and you had to buy specialty ones. Granted, yeah, you put an LS in a Z, you're still going to have to buy specialty hoses, but you can go to any auto parts store and pick up a hose and make it work. So, yeah, we just we just got a couple things that we're gonna keep going on this car with throughout the year, and like I said, this is my brother, so we're gonna have some other car events, shows, things like that we'll be going to. So hopefully we'll see more of this car and watch the progress go on as we continue. So like I said, right now we're gonna finish up some other things and